Hi, this is Crypto's New, bringing you episode 13 of my Gods Unchained beta gameplay review and strategy discussion. This is the first episode that will be with the latest version, which is 1.11.1. And I picked this particular match to highlight because it features two changes. One is a change to Flourish, got a bit of a nerf. The other was the addition of a new God power for war. It's called the Enraged God power, and it gives a creature +2/+2, and also burn +2, or if cast on an opponent's creature, gives it additional +2 burn for a total of +4 burn, which is pretty significant. So it's mainly used as offensive power to boost up your creatures before they attack, though it can be used defensively with that 4 burn to remove an annoying creature that your opponent has, such as a wall, for example. If you wait it out a couple of turns, and that wall will burn down. This particular match, I'm playing against Lokilamadupa, and he has brought out a Rolling Watcher to start the game. And I have a Rolling Watcher of my own in my hand, but I'd really like to get rid of his and keep mine on the board, hopefully able to hit it with Flourish a few times. So even though Flourish has changed, it still plays pretty much the same way. You want to have a lot of creatures, preferably ones that summon other creatures, such as the Nimble Pixie and the Bodyguard, those sort of things, because you want to have, preferably 6 creatures on the board, so that when you cast your Flourish, you are getting a total of +6 health or attack, depending on how the random generator distributes it. So I go ahead and bring out a spider to threaten his Rolling Watcher with. Seeing that he doesn't have any way to take out my spider and save his Watcher, he just elects to use his God power and a spell to boost it up, dish out 6 damage to me. So I go ahead and bring out my Rolling Watcher. Buff everybody up. Sacrifice the spider. That's a no-brainer. Sacrifice to remove a 7/5 creature, even if it will burn out in a few turns. And things are looking good. I've got a Pixie starting to get buffed up. My Rolling Watcher is out. He's already a 2/3. But Loki pulls out an Iron Copus, smacks my Rolling Watcher down. And now I have a bit of a choice here. If I bring out my other Watcher, it'll probably be smacked down by the sword also. So do I want to go ahead and do that and buff up my Pixie? Or buff up my Pixie first to try to make it a target so that he uses his sword, and that gives me a chance to bring the Watcher out unimpeded. I'm in kind of a not great spot in regards to a Flourish deck. I have 3 buff spells in my hand and only 2 creatures on the board. So I didn't get necessarily a good draw. I'll probably also overstack my deck with these buff spells. Having creatures would be better for a Flourish deck, but I really love the power that can be gotten from these cheap spells, and how you can make any creature into something to be feared. Such as here, I'm buffing up my Pixie, who's already a 3/2, now a 4/2. So now he has a choice. Does he take out the Pixie and take the 4 damage? Does he take out the Watcher and only take 1 damage and remove it before it can get buffed up more? I guess not knowing that I have these spells in my hand, taking out the Pixie seems like a good choice. Then he brings out a buffed up Phase Touched Golem. This is kind of an interesting creature. At the end of turn, it gives all of your Atlanteans ward. So that would be pretty useful if I had any attack spells in this deck. But even though it's a nature deck, I don't think I do. I think it's all creatures or buff spells. But nonetheless, it's still a 5/5. Immune to magic. He can enrage it, do 7 damage to me. And even though I have my Rolling Watcher, it's going to take a few turns to be able to get it up to that level. And I decide to distribute some buffs over to my Gloam Druid so that I don't have it all just concentrated on one target. And I draw a Trident, which is kind of an interesting... I think it's the only nature weapon besides the Vine Armor. And it's okay, not that great of a weapon for 4 mana. And then Loki brings out another Phase Touch Golem. Almost as powerful as the first one. So now things are turning all of a sudden. He's got a lot of damage out there. Chooses to take out my Watcher, which is an interesting decision. I personally might have just gone straight for smacking my opponent in the face with the 7 damage creature. I would be forced to use somebody to take him out anyway this turn. But instead he decides to take out my Watcher. Now I have to figure out a way to defend myself. I have plenty of buffs still. I got a frontline, lucky draw of a frontline creature. But he can easily slap another Enrage on and do a good 14 damage to me next turn. So I have to figure out the best way of doing this. Do I want to buff the townsfolk, who's going to die anyway, and hope that he's able to take someone down with him? Do I want to buff the druid and hopefully have him stick around for another turn, and or cause Loki to use his Phase Touch Golems to attack both my creatures and not damage me at all? So I like to go for buffing up my townsfolk, making it a 4/4. One of his golems sacrifices itself to remove my front line. And that's just a question of whether he wants to kill the druid or whether he wants to damage me. Goes for the damage, letting me keep a creature on the board. And now this is an interesting thing I see from here. He summons the Sonic Juggernaut, who removes frontline from a creature. So he could have potentially removed frontline from my townsfolk this turn, attacked with both those golems and done 14 damage to him, and still had everybody in play for another turn. So I think that was a little bit of strategic error or tactical error on Loki's part. He still looks to be in pretty good shape, even though he's at 14 health. He definitely has a much more dominant control of the board. I don't have a whole lot I can do. I'm still stuck with these buff cards. I've not been drawing the features I need to draw. So I'm stuck just kind of buffing up my one guy. Go ahead and play my Trident. So I have some other options for doing damage. And now it's over to Loki. This golem's going to die in 2 turns, but I am also probably going to die in 2 turns. I think just doing straight up damage to me at this point is his best decision. Even though my druid is starting to look scary, it's mostly defense, and can't really do much with that. And then he throws down a nice 6 mana, 8/8 Crash Construct. The only advantage is As for me, is that for every spell I play, it'll do a damage to him. However, unfortunately, I am a little bit short, I believe. If I pull out the Swashbuckler, he does his 1 damage, plus the extra damage. Got him down to 8. Buff everybody up. The Glowing Druid does 5 damage. Cast another spell. 1 more damage. He's down to 2. If only I had 1 more mana to cast. Well, that still wouldn't have mattered. That would have been only 1 damage. So close. Get him down to 2. I don't have any front line. No other options. And he can just deliver the killing blow to me, which he does. So there you have it. As a fun match with the latest version, which actually is quite interesting. Has quite a few changes and new cards and new god powers. And I hope to bring some of those to you with my future videos. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll talk at you next time. Thanks.